Thank you all so much for being here today. Today, hundreds of healthcare workers across the country have called out from work to declare that we are sick from genocide. This action is an immediate response to the kidnapping of the pediatrician Dr. Hussam Abu Safiyeh during the most recent escalation in the Israeli military's ongoing campaign to destroy the healthcare infrastructure in Gaza. Since the genocide against the Palestinian people dramatically and horrifically accelerated in October 2023, Israel has killed more than 1,000 of our colleagues in Gaza. We have watched in horror as cancer wards are bombed, snipers shoot nurses, scrubbed into surgeries in the OR, and children healing from amputations are killed by shells targeted at the ICU. Despite facing sniper fire, relentless shelling, and conditions of starvation, our Palestinian colleagues have refused to leave their patients. As we raise our voices today to demand an end to genocide and the immediate release of Dr. Abu Hussam Abu Safiyeh, we emphasize that Dr. Hussam represents one of 450 healthcare workers kidnapped and illegally detained by the Israeli military. The international outrage in response to his kidnapping is a demonstration of support not only for our beloved colleague Dr. Hussam, but the values that he and every healthcare worker in Gaza have come to symbolize. Dr. Hussam holds dual citizenship. He and his family could have left Gaza in October 2023. More than a year ago, in an iconic interview with Democracy Now!, Dr. Hammam Allo was asked why he didn't leave the north of Gaza when it had become clear that a central strategy of the genocidal Israeli offensive in Gaza would be the targeting and destruction of the healthcare system, including the murder of the physicians whose knowledge and dedication makes it run. In response, he asked, "And if I go, who treats my patients? You think I went to medical school for a total of 14 years to think only about my life and not my patients?" Several weeks later, he was killed by the Israeli army. I think about his words almost every day in the hospital. I look around at my colleagues and I wonder, who are the people who would stay? If caring for your patients meant putting your life and the lives of your children at risk. Our moral authority as doctors is often linked to a certain ideal of the physician as a figure uniquely dedicated to protecting life, a commitment that Gaza's healthcare workers honor every day. Since the genocide began, Palestinian physicians have turned to their colleagues and asked us to raise our voices and invoke the sacred oath that, at least in theory, binds all healthcare workers together, transcending divisions sown by geopolitics, race, and nationality. The realities of the U.S. healthcare system have rendered the values put forth in the Hippocratic Oath largely symbolic in a country where our taxes pay for the bombs that have been used to destroy every hospital in Gaza, while millions of Americans struggle to access the most basic healthcare services. Our government sends billions to Israel, while here in the US, a cancer diagnosis can easily mean losing your home. Upholding our commitment to protect life means fighting to transform the violent systems that make caring for our patients impossible, and recognizing that the structural causes of disease lie outside the walls of our clinics and hospitals. As doctors, our understanding of human physiology allows us to decipher the traces of systemic violence as they appear on the bodies of our patients in the form of disease and injury. In December, I had the immense honor of meeting and speaking with Dr. Hussam Abu Safiyeh in an online call 10 days after his son was shot and killed by an Israeli drone. To practice medicine well is to develop an intricate sensibility for intuiting cause and effect in the art of the diagnosis. We examine the wounds of our patients as a form of evidence that points us towards their root cause. A drone strike on a child is not an accident. A drone strike on a child betrays an unmistakable intentionality. In our call, Dr. Hussam wondered aloud about the resounding silence of the US and Europe and American medical institutions as the Israeli military continues to violate every convention of international humanitarian law, including those that prevent the targeting and the murder of children like his son. He asked us, "Aren't you the ones who made these laws? Aren't you the ones who are supposed to enforce them? Isn't it the United States who always sings about democracy?" We continue to see entire homes, entire families targeted and killed, and no one moves a muscle to stop the slaughter taking place in Gaza. Today, as doctors and healthcare workers in San Diego, we have joined together to declare that we are sick from this genocide and to demand that our own medical institutions do their part to hold the Israeli military accountable for blatant war crimes against healthcare workers and humanity. As Israel continues its genocidal offensive against the Palestinian people with impunity, San Diego's healthcare workers recognize that the oath we took compels us to diagnose its root cause and call for the only lasting cure: an arms embargo on Israel and an end to the US-backed occupation of Palestine, the release of Dr. Hussam, and freedom for all Palestinians from the river to the sea. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Lauren Gaw, and I'll be speaking about how my job was put in jeopardy for speaking up against Palestine, or again, speaking up for Palestine against genocide. I'd like to thank CAIR and everyone here tonight, as well as healthcare workers for Palestine, for their unwavering support during this trying time. My wrongful termination was a deeply upsetting experience. To be punished for expressing solidarity with the Palestinian people who are enduring a brutal genocide is unconscionable. I've always strived to be an empathetic and compassionate nurse. Caring for people is not just a job, it's an integral part of daily life. I believe in fighting for a better future for everyone. I was deeply affected as I watched a live-stream genocide unfold before my eyes. I was horrified to see children gravely injured, and while many others have their limbs amputated without general anesthesia, I found it hard to reconcile with my seemingly ordinary life. It was hard for me to come to work every day knowing that my patients had access to anesthesia when the patients in Gaza did not. It was hard for me to know that my patients could get elective surgeries and go safely back to their homes, while the Gazan patients were coming in with blast injuries and gunshot wounds and had no homes to return to. All of this was hard, but it's nothing compared to the man-made suffering that still continues throughout Palestine. I find it difficult to wrap my head around the sheer number of people killed and injured during this genocide, not to mention the targeted killing of nearly 1,000 healthcare workers over the last 14 to 15 months by the Israeli military. It is my duty to be the voice of those fallen healthcare workers because I see myself in them. We are doing the same job. However, their job is made immensely harder due to the relentless shelling, lack of food, waters, medicines, and electricity. I was deeply hurt that my former employer chose to silence my voice and punish me for my beliefs. I value integrity, authenticity, transparency, and unfortunately, these values were not what I found exhibited by the staff and management while I was working for Outpatient Surgery Center of La Jolla. I want to be known as a person that stands up for what is right. It is important to be able to feel like you can be your authentic self at work, and I really enjoyed comforting my patients after they had had surgery, and that was taken away from me when I was wrongfully fired. In searching for future jobs, I've struggled with how to represent myself at the workplace. I question if I'll face the same backlash and retaliation that I've faced before. I've worked very hard to develop my career, and I just want to work somewhere where I'm valued and respected. When I was wrongfully terminated, it was extremely stressful and placed a financial hardship on myself and my family. But it also increased my determination to fight for free Palestine and a just and equitable world. I'm more determined than ever to fight against genocide and against unlawful termination. I will not be intimidated or discouraged. Free Palestine.
Hello, my name is Summer Ismail, and I am a representative from the Council of American Islamic Relations, known as CAIR, San Diego, CAIR, and my last name is spelled ISMAIL. As we enter another year where genocide is taking place, where we have normalized the complete destruction of hospitals, and yet the world and the United States have yet to take action. We went from Israel would never bomb a hospital to there are no fully functioning hospitals in Gaza. That we have seen hospitals set on fire in Gaza with patients still attached to their IVs being set on fire. There is undeniable video evidence, yet our tax dollars are still funding a majority of this. 500 days of genocide. Yet we know here that my tax dollars and everyone's here is complicit in this genocide. It is a human right to have access to health care. Not only are the people of Gaza robbed of health care, but they are being poisoned in those same places. So if you're not getting bombed to death, you are being poisoned because you are receiving expired vaccines, expired food, not even the proper health care to take care of your patients. Nurses here talk about how there's no anesthesia. Mothers are delivering children with no anesthesia. Even the ones who are lucky enough to survive have to endure so much pain that is unfathomable for us here. Yet we have yet to take action, and the only action we see from these institutions is repression. Miss Lauren Gaw just came up here and said that she was fired for feeling the need to stand up with doctors across the world because this is not normal. To see this many doctors suffer and know that they are risking their lives to save and attempt to save the others. Healthcare is a human right, and it is our right here as we are privileged to stand up and ensure that people across the world receive that right. We at CAIR are committed to advocating for the civil rights of our people, and we always will protect our community and stand up and make sure no one is wrongfully treated for expressing themselves and protecting our First Amendment. We know the importance of speaking up, and we at CAIR San Diego are committed to pushing for a complete arms embargo. Our tax dollars should not be funding the genocide of people all over the world. We should not be complicit in this, and we will continue to push for elected officials and make sure we represent our people's voices. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Lily Oster. I'm a physician here in San Diego. Thank you everyone for being here today. We're joining with healthcare workers around the country and across the world who are standing up against genocide, taking this day off from work, calling out sick because we are sick and tired of witnessing a live stream genocide in the 21st century being carried out in our names with our tax dollars. As physicians and healthcare workers, we're devastated, and we cannot continue to experience life as normal when our healthcare institutions remain silent and punish us for speaking out against genocide. The death toll in Gaza is estimated at above 45,000, but we know that it likely lies at over 300,000. 300,000 people murdered, the majority of whom have been murdered with bombs made and funded by US taxpayers. As healthcare workers here in this country, we cannot afford to be silent any longer. We are taking this day sick from work, and many of our colleagues here in San Diego and across the country will continue to call out sick because we can no longer endure the moral injury that comes from watching patients in Palestine be denied access to care, from watching healthcare workers be held hostage by the Israeli military, from watching children die of hypothermia. We can no longer endure watching this and knowing that our institutions are silent, our government is silent, and our government continues to bankroll these murders. So thank you for being out here today. Thank you for making your voices heard. Thank you to my fellow healthcare workers who have joined in taking today off sick from work. And we will continue to make our voices heard. We will continue to let the world know that this is not normal. A live stream genocide is not normal, that people in Palestine deserve life. So we join together in saying, free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Thank you.
We could do questions and interviews if you'd like. We could do interviews. Huh? No. Does anyone here speak fluent Spanish? Okay, Lily.
Hola. Mi acento no es muy conocido.
Ahí está bien.
As we close out today, and we want to thank you all for coming again, I just wanted to mention very briefly, as we stand here in front of the Naval Military Hospital, and we talk about the violence of U.S. imperialism across the Middle East and its consequences for physicians and doctors in Gaza and across the region in a wave of violence that did not begin in October 2023, we think about how U.S. imperialism has many branches. The military is one. When we talk about bombs, we're talking about one branch. Another part is the soft power of U.S. imperialism. And one of the tropes that's recycled in much of the coverage of healthcare workers and anyone standing in solidarity with Palestine today, actively in the United States, is the idea of Palestinian solidarity activists as useful idiots. And so I want to stand in front of you today as a useful idiot and mention that when I talk to you about Gaza, and I talk to you about my colleague and my friend Dr. Abu Hussam Safige, and I say his name correctly and I say Gaza correctly, it's not because I'm a native speaker of Arabic. It's because I'm someone who has received no less than 5 grants from the U.S. State Department to study and learn Arabic and live in the Middle East through critical language scholarships, the Critical Language Enhancement Program, and 2 separate full-year Fulbright awards. So when we stand here and we talk to you today about why we call out from work and why we say we are sick from genocide, we'd like you to know that these are the people that we represent, and the lineages that we bring, what has pushed us to this point, to this place today. So thank you very much for coming.